Okay, so Sabine released something today. The path to AGI is coming into view. Um, let's see.
General intelligence. I think I can finally see a path for how we'll get there. Let's have a look. There's no consensus definition for what exactly artificial general intelligence, AGI for short, means, but I think most
Right.
people mean intelligence comparable to that of humans or above. And the general sense I'm getting from people in AI research is that AGI is a few years away, maybe a little more, but likely less than a decade. Demis Hassabis, chief executive of Google DeepMind, for example, has recently said that AGI is probably just a handful of years away.
We've been working on
Right.
this for more than 20 plus years. We've sort of had a consistent view about AGI being a system that's capable of exhibiting all the cognitive capabilities humans can. And I think we're getting
All the cognitive capabilities that humans can. So,
closer and closer, but I think we're still probably a handful of years away.
Sam Altman, the
a handful of years away.
CEO of OpenAI, wrote last year that it's possible that we'll have superintelligence in a few thousand days. And last month, he added somewhat vaguely on his blog that systems that start to point to AGI are coming into view, where he defines AGI generally speaking as a system that can tackle increasingly complex problems at human level in many fields. If nothing else, we can credit Altman for single-handedly keeping blogs alive. Dario Amodei, the CEO of Anthropic, doesn't like the expression AGI because to him it's more of a marketing term, but he also believes that the AGI he doesn't want to call AGI is just a few years away.
AGI has never been a well-defined term for me. I've always thought of it as a marketing term, but the way I think about it is at some point we're going to get to AI systems that are better than almost all humans at almost all tasks. The term I've used for it in an essay I recently wrote is a country of geniuses in a data center. It's a sort
Okay, I mean, either call it AGI or superintelligence. There's no need to come up with a new clunky, long-winded name. It's a bit weird.
of evocative phrase for all the power and all the positive things and all of the potential negative things. That's the thing that I think we're quite likely to get in the next 2 or 3 years.
Generally, people in Silicon
Well, I think AGI is not genius level. I think AGI essentially means, in general, I think when people talk of AGI, they talk about just average intelligence to be able to replace someone who can book your ticket for you, or maybe on the level that they can take care of your taxes without the IRS coming knocking on your door. But I mean,
Valley say they
so in general, it's what he's talking about is super intelligence. So, from what I've heard, generally AGI means like something that like a robot that can clean your house, that can cook. It doesn't require too much creativity. It can deal with everyday sort of tasks. What he's talking about is more super intelligence, where essentially they're doing creative work and they're competing with the very best of human intelligence and beating it, hence super intelligence. So from what I've seen in general, those are the two tiers, and we're so far away from AGI that I mean, we can beat maybe one aspect of human intelligence at a time. But to create a system that can outdo humans in every aspect, this conversation seems a bit weird because, I mean, for anyone who's a bit unsure, you could read The Emperor's New Mind by, why do I keep forgetting? The Emperor's New Mind by Roger Penrose. And it gives some insight into what the human mind is capable of versus mathematically what a classical computer or a system based off of classical computing is capable of. And so already you're not going to achieve super intelligence that can beat humans at everything until you've got quantum computing. So it's just like a weird conversation to have.
Feel the AGI. Kevin Rose, who clearly spends too much time talking to these people, wrote in a recent New York Times essay that the first claims of AGI will come probably in 2026 or 2027.
I don't know, like I just see all this stuff and it just strikes me as so much hype. It was the same hype from 10 years ago about biotech is going to make us live forever, we're going to cure cancer in a few years. With Theranos, you know, like we're going to revolutionize how we do blood testing. I mean, I don't know about you, but my blood is tested the same way. Someone went to jail for it. I mean, with WeWork, it was all about how we're going to reinvent entrepreneurship. You know, like it's just the same hype cycle with the same random bold claims. The same as like self-driving cars, right? I mean, it was just going on and on and on for years on end about how this year we're going to have self-driving cars, you know, like, and I wouldn't even trust a self-driving car to park my car, you know. I mean, it's so it's
but possibly as soon as this year. Then again, people who work on tech developments tend to be, shall we say, somewhat.
Yeah, because the more you pay attention, it's eyeballs. The more you pay attention and believe, the more you put money in. The more you put money in, the more they get paid. The more they get paid, the more excited they get. The more excited they get, the more they want to hype and talk about how amazing this is, like a drug. This is the best field ever. Then the claims get even bolder. The more bolder the claims and exciting the claims get, the more eyeballs they attract. The more eyeballs they attract, the more people put money in. The more people put money in, the more these engineers get paid for, you know, delivering not that much. And then it's just this freaking cycle. And no one stops to soberly ask, what are we doing? What is the structure of our economy? Is it self-sustaining? Are we so desperate to build a super intelligence and AGI for what? To beat, like, where is this panic arising from? Right? This is clearly panicked behavior.
Over-optimistic. The cognitive scientist Gary Marcus, who has a somewhat more grounded outsider opinion, recently wrote, "I think there's almost zero chance that artificial general intelligence will arrive in the next 2 to 3 years, especially given how disappointing GPT 4.5
Yes.
turned out to be." What he means is that GPT 4.5 was basically very little, very late. But even Marcus thinks that AGI will come. It's just that the current models...
Now, I'm not saying like AI is useless. I think there's very useful cases for it, but in very dedicated, specific scenarios. And I just don't see companies playing out those scenarios right now. So even talking to AI... Even trying to use chatbots to replace, you know, every time I communicate with an AI on any platform for any sort of help, my first go-to, it's just like this weird thing, my first go-to is always, I want to talk to a human, talk to a rep, talk to a real rep, you know what I mean, until I get to a human, and then I solve the problem. So I don't even know why they have chatbots there, since most people are just doing that. They're telling the chatbot, I want to talk to a human.
Large language models or transformer models aren't going to get us there. As I said previously, I agree with him on that. Honestly, the idea that you can breed intelligence from text seems somewhat idiotic to me. You could say, well, what does Sabine know about intelligence? Fair enough. I mean, maybe I'm not even real, but by now most AI experts agree that the current models are unlikely to get us to AGI. You can tell from a recent survey that was conducted between summer 2024 and spring 2025 by the Association for the Advancement of Artificial Intelligence. They asked almost 500 AI experts and found that 3/4 think that scaling up current AI approaches to yield AGI is unlikely or very unlikely to succeed. A good illustration for the problem is this multiplication table. That shows how often one of the recent GPT models is successful in multiplying large numbers. The more the models have been trained, the better they've become with increasingly large numbers, but they still haven't learned the pattern. Now, on the one hand, you can say, okay, but this problem's easy to solve. You just need to switch to a math software for purposes like this. Okay, but on the other hand, this shows that even after being trained on huge amounts of data, large language models don't develop an understanding of how multiplication works in general, despite the fact that they have access to countless textbooks that explain how it works and that they can write code to.
Yes, it's a very valid point. It should have, the training itself should have created a calculator of sorts within its system. But like, if I want to be perfectly fair, it might not be the most efficient way to create a calculator. So creating an AGI and allowing that training model to have access to tools, like humans do, you have access to tools. But how often is it going to use that tool? It's an interesting area, but
multiply numbers. Clearly something isn't clicking into place. But if not those models, then what? There are two developments that I think are likely to become more relevant in the near future. The one is to bring in some sort of symbolic reasoning that's basically a logical core. If you combine this symbolic reasoning with neural networks, it's called neurosymbolic, and it's what DeepMind's AlphaProof used to achieve its impressive maths abilities. AI researchers have tried to connect symbolic reasoning to large language models with what's called knowledge graphs. These are basically attempts to break down text into its logical relations.
So knowledge graphs, dogs, cows eat, so a graph of, no, okay. Okay.
Think this will come and it'll be an improvement in reasoning abilities, but ultimately not get us to AGI, because most text isn't logical. It'll not solve the underlying problems with large language models. So symbolic reasoning will come, and it's a good trend, but latching it onto the existing models won't be enough. The other development that's been going on is what AI researchers call world models. These are predictive models for, well, the world. In the simplest case, for, say, the motions of objects in a 3D space. But once you have predictive models for any sort of data, you can also use them for more abstract ideas. Here is how John Le Coeur from Meta explains this.
I mean, first, the notion of world model is the idea that a system would get some idea of the state of the world and be able to predict sort of following states of the world resulting from just the natural evolution of the world or resulting from an action that the agent might take.
With drug discovery.
Yeah.
Again, Demis Hassabis about the relevance of world models.
First of all, you've got to build general models, world models, we call them, to understand the world around you, the physics of the world, the dynamics of the world, the spatial temporal dynamics of the world, and so on, and the structure of the real world we live in.
So I think what we'll see is world models combined with symbolic reasoning, which can use large language models as a tool and not the other way around. And it'll probably take at least 5 years. Until then, we'll likely see some companies backpedal from AGI claims and instead get systems that are increasingly good at specialized tasks, like literature or web searches, but have no general intelligence. This is why I think Sam Altman writes that the path to AGI will be continuous rather than a sudden leap. It's to forestall people's disappointment when GPT-5 finally comes and isn't anywhere near human-level intelligence. But Dario Amode's expression, a country of geniuses in a data center, brings up an interesting question. What genius would voluntarily spend their life in a data center? Then again, what genius would voluntarily spend their life in academia? I read a lot of news to keep you.
Yeah, I could kind of see that punchline coming, but yeah, initially I thought she was going to go with, what genius would spend her life on YouTube. And I thought, yeah, it's a little, I wish she gonna go for it or not. And then she went with the academic route. So I was like, okay. I don't know. I guess it's something to talk about. People have been talking about AGI for a few years now, and I don't know. I mean, is there anything to report? Yeah, I don't know. Not much